Stricter scientific law. Throw away the red box, you don't need it anymore. Free pressure, the law of non-belief. If you can't prove it, no one's hanging ready for the brief. A dedicated skeptic, we all know what that means. He's lurking in the shadows and crushing all your dreams.
And never going to land. Don't believe in cryptids that leave footprints in the sand. Don't believe in spirits appearing from the dead. The only demons out there are living in your head. Dream crusher, the Lord of non-belief. If you can't prove it, no one can get ready for the brave. For a dedicated skeptic, we all know what that means. He's lurking in the shadows and crushing all your dreams. Dream crusher, the Lord of non-belief. If you can't prove it, no one can get ready for the brave. For a dedicated skeptic, we all know what that means.
What's up, everybody? It's Friday night. Woohoo! I'm so pumped up.
I'm up.
Donna's here. Donna's here. Up. We have a guest tonight, and I forgot to tell her to mute her mic, which I just did for her. Anyway, I am so happy to be back. We are so happy to be back.
Yes.
It's been a long time. We went Bigfoot hunting. We didn't find them.
No,
Didn't even find footprints. What the hell?
we found the little Bigfoot.
We found a little Bigfoot strapped to the roof of a golf cart.
Yeah,
Which
they
was
caught
fun.
him.
That was fun. Imagine being in a campground. You're in this like fairgrounds area, and you're talking to some ghost hunters, and you're trying to explain some science to them, and all you hear is, "Getty Beto, we caught Bigfoot!" And 4 girls are screaming my name, which is something I'm not, I'm okay with. But screaming the name, and I finally look, and I'm like, oh shit, it's the Peaches. That's awesome. So we had a good time. We didn't find Bigfoot, but we had a good time hanging out with friends.
Yeah, it was a nice, relaxing weekend.
Yeah.
Made a few bucks.
Donna sold a bunch of the coasters that we were making. If you guys follow us on social media, like we did some laser engraving on some coasters, slate coasters, and you sold almost all of them, right?
Yeah, all the Bigfoot ones.
Yeah, all the Bigfoot ones. So there'll be more. I didn't sell any of my Skeptical Help ones, which I did not. I wasn't surprised at that.
Definitely the wrong crowd for this.
Yes, especially because I did speak. I did talk about investigative strategies, like across the board, not just for Bigfoot, but I did use Bigfoot examples of investigations that I've done or other people have done. And then I focused a lot on eyewitness testimony, especially the trained observer, which was a big deal because I know several of the people in attendance use that to boost credibility of their own stories. And I want to touch on that and show that it's not as reliable as they're making it out to seem. So anyway, but moving on, we're going to talk about that later, maybe next week when we do an open mic night, because it was supposed to be open mic night tonight. But after I put out this show title of the advertisement, I got I got a message from a friend of mine, Adrienne Hill, and we had been trying to get Adrienne on. She was on vacation. She was having fun, like sailing across the world and stuff. But she had done our cover story for the last issue of Skeptical Inquirer here about the Winchester Mystery House, and wanted to get her on. So I totally forgot. To be honest, like I didn't know when she was coming home. I totally forgot, and I was like, but she sent me a message and say, "Hey, you want me to pop on tonight?" I was like, "Well, hell yeah! Let's just revamp the whole show and just talk about the Winchester Mystery House because
why not?
Why not? It's my show. I can do whatever I want."
Yes,
that's right. I'm so excited.
I
know. I'm pumped. You
do
people.
the rules.
Let's do the rules. Donna's keeping me on track. She's like, "Get on the track here. Get back here." All right, rules. Boom. You like that? I did it. It worked. Rule number 1, you are welcome to ask questions. That's what this show is about. It's fun. We learn together. It's an educational show, if you will. Rule number 2 is that I don't know everything. And when I have a guest, they don't know everything either. But we know a lot. And we know a lot of things. And we know some things. And if we don't know it, we'll look it up. And we'll share it with you, and we'll try to figure it out. I'll keep my notebook here if I have homework, which I did do, but I'm going to save that for next week now. Rule number 3, Patrick Swayze rule. Be nice. That's it. Just be nice. You can be in the chat room. You can discuss the topics that we're talking about. You can ask questions. You can debate if you want to. If you're disagreeing with somebody, we're cool with that. Just do not start fighting. Don't name call. Don't devolve into being an a-hole. That's my job. Because if you do, Donna will boot your ass and we will never get you back.
No, because I don't know how.
It's like the black hole of the internet. You get lost. We can't find you. We don't know. And then eventually we don't care, because we booted you anyway. So.
Yeah.
Rule number 4 is if you do have a question tonight, because we do have a guest, please, you can put them in there throughout the whole chat. Do us a favor, put a capital Q in front of it, and that way Donna can save it in the queue for the second hour when we do questions. And rule number 5, which is my favorite rule of all time, drink up. Because it is a bar.
I got my water.
You got our water. It's special water.
Mm-mm.
No.
Not really.
I was wrong. It's not special water. It's just water. All right. So with that said, let me say hi real quick to some people. Let me put my glasses on so I can see the people. Rabba is in the house. Rawside Paranormal. Julie R. We got Jody Music. Michael Burkeen. Dotson 510. Who else we got? Sage Serendipity. Ooh, that's a good name.
Dragon Ranger.
I'm pretty happy that I said that name right the first time. Who was it? Dragon Ranger. That's new. That's pretty cool. I like that. Joe Downey's in the house. Cree Storm. What else? I know I saw Autumn's in the house. Diana's in the house. Tara, Wisdom, Cat Mac. It's date night, Cat Mac. What's up? Abs is in the house. And we got a whole bunch. It keeps jumping ahead on me. That's all right. Steph is in the house. What's up, Steph? Entity 7, Paranormal, Joe Vitale. Joe freaking Vitale's in the house. All right. So let me get this off. Let me change. Where is my stuff? They need better buttons. Well, I just need to learn how to do this. Let me put the special guest thing up and unmute her mic so that she can come on and say hi. What's up?
Or giggle. Hello.
Hey. Well, look, you got claps from both of us.
Welcome.
That's a first on the show.
Ooh.
How you doing?
Hey, everybody else.
Hey. Everyone's in the chat. So, for real quick before we jump into this not so mystery house. Yeah, it's like Zach Baggins' Not So Haunted House. It's not so haunted. So for those that might not know who you are, because there's a lot of new people since the last time you were on the show. There's a lot more new people that have joined the show that hang out with us every weekend. So explain or tell us about yourself. Who are you?
Well, I am a retired high school math teacher, and I reside in Canada, in Calgary, Canada.
Canadian.
Yeah, I'm a Canadian, a Canuck. And when I retired, I found out about Susan Gerbic and her Guerrilla Skepticism on Wikipedia project. And I joined that project, became an editor. And then through her and the pandemic, I met Richard Saunders. Damn it, Bob.
Bob's, I just saw Bob pop up and I was like, oh, there's your sign, Bob. Here's your
amazing.
sign.
Yeah, so I met Richard Saunders via Susan Gerbic during our weekly trivia, and he started something called the Great Australian Psychic Prediction Project, which I joined, and I was on that for a couple of years. And in that, he asked me to write an article for the Skeptic Australia magazine, and then he asked me to be on his show. He interviewed me once about Tourette Syndrome, because that's another little thing that I do. I talk about Tourette Syndrome. That's what you had me on.
Sorry. You said it so fast. I was like, it sounded like you said treks and jumps. And I was like, what? What is that? Is that a Canadian thing?
Yeah. It's my accent. I'll own it.
I'm sorry.
So,
my bad.
No worries. It's
Continue.
Tourette syndrome, OCD, ADHD, all those types of things. So I've been an educator working with actual science people like neurologists, psychologists, psychiatrists, etc., spreading proper information. So I've been in that sort of sciencey world for a very long time, but now I've kind of branched out into this other thing. And Richard interviewed me about Tourette syndrome, and somehow I ended up on his podcast. So I'm a fairly regular feature.
You're a regular. You're always there. And I particularly like when he plays your bloopers. Like at the end of the show, and you cannot get a line out without giggling. And I love it. It cracks me. I have to stop listening because I'm cracking up in the car. And then I was like, all right, I need a break. I need to breathe because I'm laughing so hard. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you try reading that newsletter. And Tim Mendham, who writes the newsletter, he purposefully tries to find words that will stump me. And so there's this competition. I'm going to get this one. There was once he put one that was so ridiculous, I just left it out.
That's good. That's good.
So I think that's sort of the brief thing. And then I ended up, because I wrote the Wikipedia page for the Winchester Mystery House and Sarah Winchester, I did a Sunday Papers at SciCon last year. Stephen Hupp, the editor, came up to me afterwards and said, hey, would you be interested in doing an article for me? And I said, sure, I'll give it a try. And I didn't expect that to end up being on the cover. I'll tell you that.
That's awesome. I mean, it's a great cover.
Isn't it beautifully done?
Yeah.
It really is a nice cover. I especially like the mystery machine down here at the bottom.
I know, down here. It's so cute.
It's really, really
you know what I really like?
That it's yes. Having your name on the cover is really, really awesome.
It's amazing. Melanie Tresick King was saying to me, I want my name on the lots of covers, right? Deservedly so. But her name wasn't in big letters. So that was a huge surprise to me to see that.
That's good.
It was
That's really
nice.
good. I like that. I like it. And Melanie's had enough covers.
True. She's done so amazing.
Yeah.
And speaking of her.
Oh, look at this. I hope it's a ghost this time.
That is Kenny.
That is the Kenny.
The Kenny
available on Thinking is Power.
Thinking is Power.
Yeah,
that's correct.
Website. Yes.
Yeah.
For Melanie Tracy King, who is a good friend. She'll be here soon. In like 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah.
2 weeks she'll be visiting us again. So
maybe we'll have her on.
I think she will be on the show when she's here, because I think she's staying almost a full week.
Wow.
She's coming up here to work with Tim Redman, who's also been on the show. And he runs a critical thinking class in one of the local high schools. So she's doing a project with him, and she's going to come visit and stay with us. So awesome. I can't wait.
She's amazing. The stuff that she's producing is fabulous.
I love it. I think it's really good. And we have fun. Oh my goodness. When she shows up, it is even like I'm used to running nonstop. I'm used to it because I'm constantly going, if I sit down for 5 minutes, I'm like, I'm bored. I got to get up and do something. But when she gets here, it is like, oh shit. Now it's on, because now I have someone that's even worse than I am, I will say. And she wants to constantly go, which is great.
Energy.
We do get a lot done. We make videos and we have fun, and we've set up tricks and pranks and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to her visit. But for now, let's dive into this mansion, this mystery house, the Winchester Mystery House. So before we get to what you have to say about it and your research, I want to provide everyone with like what I heard growing up. Like this is the version that I have.
Okay.
And I thought about this earlier. I'm like, the story that I knew, that especially when I was a ghost hunter, that I would tell that story. So basically, Sarah Winchester, I heard she was a bit crazy. That she was a woman that when her husband died, she inherited this fortune, and that she was haunted by the ghosts of all the victims killed by the Winchester rifle. And that a medium came in. I did a seance because weird things were going on. The medium told her that all these ghosts are here. They're all victims. They've been killed by this rifle from your family, and they're going to haunt you unless you keep building. And they will tell you what to build, where to build it. And as long as you appease them, they will not haunt you. They will just, stay on the sidelines and watch. But
did you ever hear that they won't kill you? Because that's another version I've heard too.
No.
Yeah. That she would stay alive as long as she kept building, and she was afraid of dying.
Wow. I think all the versions that I've heard was mostly just that they would torment her, like drive her crazy, and go, just keep pushing, and she wanted to do whatever it took to keep them away. So she kept building, and the architecture, the architectural design choices were because the spirits wanted it that way, and it didn't matter to them if a staircase went into a wall because they could go through the wall, and they were fine with that. Which at the time I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I would totally do that, but like, you can't follow me, living person. I'm gonna go in my little secret hideaway room. Screw you. You can't follow me. And that was it until she died. And then when she died, everything stopped, and workers literally threw down their tools and walked away, and nothing ever came of it. And then it became a tourist attraction. So that's what I knew growing up, and going through again my ghost hunter days. So what did you find? Let's start at the beginning. Tell us a story.
The story is very interesting, actually, though has no ghosts involved. I'm sorry. I'm going to be a spoiler right up front.
But how can it be a mystery house if it doesn't have a ghost?
Right, it doesn't have one.
I also remember like everything was 13. Everything was in 13s.
Which brings us to Friday the 13th, which I believe is today.
It is today, Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Jason Voorhees.
So if you want to indulge me, maybe just to continue on with this lore or legends.
Okay.
In the 100th anniversary guide, which was in 2022, because she died in 2022. And 2022. She did not die in 2022. That would be really something.
That's pretty good. I mean, she looked great for her age.
Oh yeah. In 1922, she died, and it was like 6 or 9 months later they opened the tourist attraction. So she died. They bought the house. The Browns, I believe, is, I'm terrible with names, so I'm probably going to get them wrong. Even though I wrote about them and studied them and everything else, I'm going to forget them. So, forgive me for that. And so I'm just going to read this because it says the number 13. Even if Sarah's superstitions about spirits are unlikely, it's harder to dismiss the occurrences of the number 13 found around the house. Many windows have 13 panes. I'll tell you, there's lots that don't. There are 13 bathrooms. I didn't get to count them, but that's what they say. There are also rooms with 13 wall or ceiling panels, and lots without. Stairways with 13 steps. I think there was one that we counted that we went on, and lots that had other numbers like 42 and I don't know if it was 42. Gosh. Yeah, because she had very severe arthritis. So she made the steps literally just a couple inches high.
Right.
That allowed her to go up the stairs more easily and more comfortably. I think it was rheumatoid arthritis that she had.
Right.
And so there was actually a really good logical reason for her to install those stairs like that.
Yeah, but that's not going to sell tickets.
Mm-mm.
Like, oh, these spooky stairs that number in an incredible high number were made because of arthritis.
Yeah.
Like, that
No,
doesn't
she was crazy. That's why she did
work.
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So there's 13 cupolas or cupolas, however you say that, on top of the greenhouse, and 13 gas jets on the ballroom chandelier. In brackets, Sarah added the 13th one. And let me ask you something.
Sure.
If you were rich, extremely wealthy, and you were ordering a chandelier from Germany, and you wanted 13 candles on it because you love the 13, would you do
Right.
that? Or would you wait till it comes with 12 and then put one on yourself? Swappily.
So, I mean, I would personally be right in there designing it with them. And
Yeah.
yeah, we need 13. That's your start. All right. We need a chandelier. All right, how many candles? We're gonna put 12 on it. Whoa. No. Do you not know me? I'm rich. Put 13. I need one more than everyone else.
Exactly. And so it's really interesting because it even says in brackets, Sarah added the 13th one.
Oh, okay.
And
That's sloppy. That honestly, that's sloppy.
Yeah.
Like to say that she just added. We just had one laying around, and we're just gonna put it on. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Did you also hear any stories about her visiting a medium in Boston named Adam Coons?
So yes, I mean early on, the version was more simplified, and it was a medium came to the house.
Yeah.
And
I'm not surprised to hear that. Because I'm not surprised to hear that, because if you go back and look at what the investigators like Joe Nickel and Mary Jo Ignafo and those people have looked into, they discovered that there was no such medium, and they could trace it back to a medium who wrote a book in the 1960s. And that's when that lore started appearing. So a lot of this starts, after that. Yeah, you can look that up. It's in there. I can't remember the name.
Yeah, I'm trying because I underlined a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. While you're looking for that, I'm going to start at the beginning with what I can remember from my research. Essentially, she had a baby with her husband. She married Will Wirt from the Winchester repeating rifle company, and they had a baby who died only a month later, and that was her only child. So it was very tragic. And I think it was about 15 years later, her husband, her father-in-law, who she was very close with, and a bunch of other relatives, like there's a sister and a mother, like there was a bunch of people who died all within, I think it was a year or two.
Right.
And it really upset her, obviously, like it would anybody. And she decided to leave for the beach. And I think she stayed in the East Coast for a while. Then she went to Europe for a little while. And when she came back, she decided she would like to move to California. Why would she choose California? It could be because ghosts told her to, or a medium told her to. It is possible that after all those deaths, it was the height of the spiritualist movement.
Right.
For a woman with her wealth to visit a medium. So it's plausible she did see a medium. However, knowing the testimonies from staff and friends and family, highly unlikely that she actually did that. Is it possible? Sure. But I don't think the reason she went there was because she had to build a house for the ghosts. She went there because she had traveled there with her husband to San Francisco. There was an office for the Winchester Rifles in San Francisco, and she loved it there. She really enjoyed it. And there were a lot of brochures at the time advertising the lifestyle, making it sound ideal. There was a lot of land available, and you could grow your own food. And she was really interested in that. And so she decided to go with her family. Her sisters went with her and their husbands, and she paid their way.
Nice.
To go. Yeah. Nice lady, huh?
I like that.
Yeah.
And so they went to California, and she found this property in the San Jose area.
Okay.
And there was nothing there. It was just a piece of property with a very modest farmhouse. I think it had like 7 rooms or something. And she bought it and she expanded it over the years. Now, the other thing that's missing from the story of the ghosts is when she lived on the East Coast in the, New England? I think it was New England. See, there's that name thing.
Probably.
Mm. When she was, you can always check the Wikipedia page because it has all that in there. If it's not in the article, it'll be on the Wikipedia page.
Okay.
And so her and her husband loved and were fascinated by architecture. So they actually had a house built. They built a house for themselves with the help of a professional architect, but they were very heavily involved in the interior design of it. So it was a passion. She actually subscribed to many architectural magazines. So
yeah,
she really loved architecture. So she moved to California, actually hired a couple of architects, didn't like them. And apparently qualifications, we weren't a lot of choice at that time. Population wasn't that big. So she decided, hey, I've done this before. I'm going to do it myself. So she became the project manager, and she really talked a lot with people, the tradespeople, the carpenters. She listened a lot to the people who do the work. And there was a lot of trial and error because she didn't go to school to become an architect. You couldn't. She was a woman. And right, so she can't go. And so trial and error, she got better and better at it. But that's why there's sometimes she'll add a wing and it blocks a door. And you open the door, and there's a wall. Because she thought, well, I'd really like to add a room here without really thinking about what would happen if you added a room there.
Right.
And she also had very exacting standards. So what she would do is she would build something and she wouldn't be happy because there's a letter that Mary Jo Ignoffel found that says, hey, there's not enough light in this room. I really wanted it to be bright and airy. It's not. So she tore it down, rebuilt it. She had the money to do it.
Right.
And she employed a lot of people, and she kept them employed through the Depression of the 1890s. So that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's working for the people. That's helping the community out by doing that. That's not the act of a crazy person. That's someone that says, hey, you know what? I have a lot of money, more money than I need.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep these people employed so that, we can keep the economy going and everyone will not be needy for work.
Yeah.
They will have work.
Yeah.
So,
and from what I understand from Mary Jo Ignoffel's books, she didn't pay her employers more than the standard rate at the time, but she just treated them really well and with respect and gave them time off. And I think that was quite rare. And that goes to that, that myth that you were talking about of it, nonstop construction.
Right.
Didn't happen because she gave people. Yeah, exactly, Kat. Thank you. She was housing the workers. Right?
Yeah.
They were all on her property because it was way out. It wasn't in the city. It was not close to the city center of San Francisco. And she also, when the Great Exposition, I don't remember the year, came in through San Francisco, she gave all her employees, I think it was a week, it might have been 2 weeks, I can't remember, but everybody on her properties, all her staff, she gave off, and they all went to the fair.
Wow.
That sounds pretty cool, right? That's
really cool.
Yeah. So nonstop right there, that's broken. But there's more because she kept building. She did build for a long time. I mean, she started, I think it was in 1886. And she continued building until 1906. Do you know what happened in 1906?
She died. Oh, no, wait. No, I'm sorry. The earthquake.
Yeah. So the great San Francisco earthquake of 1906 happened, and the house basically just went. There was up to 7 flights. There was a 7-story tower that came down. There was, I think, up to 5 stories. Now there's only 2. So, those mysterious stairs to nowhere that she crazily built? Yeah, right. No. There were floors up there. And then when the earthquake happened, she just covered them up. So she made the house so you could still live in it, sort of. You could still live in it. She repaired it to the point that it wouldn't leak. It wouldn't it wasn't problematic, but she never continued building. So 1906, that was it. No
Okay.
more building, other than I think she added an elevator at some point because it became so difficult for her to even navigate those little tiny stairs. Right. There was an elevator that she added up to the second floor, and some minor repairs.
It sounds. When you hear about it, it's like, all right, well, the top floors came crashing down
Mm-hmm.
during the earthquake.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need them, so there's no reason to rebuild. Right. So let's block them off. Let's repair everything up to that point
mm-hmm.
and go from there. So now you're going to have all these corridors that go nowhere.
Yeah.
The staircases that end at maybe a roof or a wall, and stuff like that. So I can see, why it's got so weird. And again, like, if she's the one that's living in there, in the house.
Here's the kicker. From that earthquake on, she basically didn't live there anymore.
That's even more reason not to fix everything. Like,
the reason she kept it, it's a working farm.
Yeah.
She was making money off of the working farm. It was a successful working farm. She had employees that still lived there. So we still needed accommodations of some level.
Right.
Now, the dream for her was that she was going to build a house that she could house her whole family, all her sisters, all their kids in that one house. And some of the people surmise that the reason she kept on building was actually so she didn't have to have her family live with her. So I don't know if that's true. Nobody really does, but that's one of the possibilities. And that's based on letters that she's written to her lawyers and her family. And, so there is some evidence for that possibility. Now, she had in Atherton, which is just it's outside of San Francisco, she had a beautiful home. And that's where she ended up living after the earthquake. She also, her health was so bad at that time that taking on that project anymore was just too difficult. And so she decided to focus on her finances and another crazy project, which was building canals in the San Francisco area, in Atherton and other areas, for rich people to come with their yachts and build a dock outside of their house. She actually developed plans for all of this because the Panama Canal was opening. And she thought that people were going to come from the East Coast, go through the Panama Canal and come up to San Francisco to their properties. And so there's still evidence of those canals apparently still now.
Oh, that's cool.
So she was a real forward-thinking woman.
Right. I also understand that she had like several rental properties.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she was a good businesswoman.
She was amazing. She had at one point up to, I think, 12 different properties in the area, and most of them rentals. She also purchased or rented, I think she purchased all the homes that her sisters were living in. She purchased a home. She was very close to her niece, Daisy. Purchased a home for them. They were not happy where they were, so purchased another home for them somewhere else. So,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, really, really generous, wonderful person, it sounds like, and very smart. She had a financial manager until he died in the 1890s. And then she thought, you know what? I can do this myself. And she managed her own finances until she died.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
And unusual for a woman, and unusual for a woman to be allowed to do that.
Yeah.
And that's a credit to her husband who allowed that to happen.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So speaking of finances, that's always something that has come up about how, like, she inherited millions and all this money. So I understand that that's not entirely accurate. So like I think at one point I heard that she was like bringing in like $5,000 or $6,000, something like that a month.
There was often $1,000 a day was quoted.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like
yeah. And I tried to calculate it based on what she actually inherited based on Mary Agnolfo. She did a real deep dive into this one.
mean, honestly, I would love $1,000 a day.
Yeah.
Now. Now. We're not talking back in the late 1890s. I want it now.
Yeah.
That would be perfect.
I think it was more like $12 a day she got, which was still a lot of money. You can look at it in the magazine. I don't remember what it was. I calculated it.
Yeah, you have here Winchester owns 777 shares of the Winchester Competing Arms Company for a total of value of $77,000,
Yeah.
paying an average of $7,770, $7,770
per
in
year.
dividends per year.
Yeah. And that was over a
5
5-year period, the first year, 5 years after her husband's death.
Right.
And she had, and I used an inflation calculator, and it just, none of it makes sense. Any of the things that they said that she had 10 million. I think that was a common one. She inherited $10 million when he died.
Right.
And there is a little bit of a tricky situation in that when he died, when the father-in-law died, there were a further $300,000 worth of shares that went to Sarah's or Sally's mother-in-law. But in the will, it was supposed to go to her husband, but her husband died of tuberculosis. And he willed everything to her. So when the mother-in-law died, and I think it was like in 1896, and when she died, she did get a further $300,000 worth of stock. But even if you add that in, and of course, that's more than 10 years after her husband died.
Right.
Even if you include that, you still can't get to 10 million, even with an inflation calculator.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean that she wasn't rich. She was rich.
She was rich. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she was able to buy 12 properties. She earned income off of them. And many of them were working farms. She earned money off of them. She earned money off the
probably
dividend.
her money coming right back at her because she probably had people that worked for her live in those houses.
Yeah.
Well, with all that, when you learn about her and you learn how like she bought all these rental properties and stuff, and it was a working farm. I mean, she had money coming in from different avenues. So,
and with the First World War, the Winchester rifle stock went through the roof because there was a huge demand. What's really interesting is after the war, it almost bankrupted her. Because the stock for the Winchester rifles collapsed because they had all these rifles that were no longer going to be bought, and they'd made them.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was she's still, I think when she died, Mary Jo Ignafo does say how much it was worth, but it was like $4 million or something like that in 1922, which was still a pretty good.
Yeah.
That was her. I don't know if that was just what was in her bank account or the total evaluation of all her properties. But I can tell you in 1922, when she died, all her properties were auctioned off. And I think everything went to her niece, Daisy, and her family. And she auctioned off, I think, all the properties. And they tried to get rid of the Winchester Mystery House, but it was deemed to be unlivable. And nobody wanted it. And the only value would have been the land. And nobody bought it at auction. Okay. So a group of investors, I think, took it over. I'm not sure I don't remember the exact details. And the Browns leased the house. And because there had been, even when Sally was alive, these rumors were going around. So when she died, they thought, hey, we could make this an amusement park and profit off of the stories we heard about how crazy she was. And we can sell it as a house with ghosts.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've learned that hard lesson over the years that once someone has passed away, it's very easy for the living to make up stories about them. In order
but they were made up before she even died. Newspaper article. Yeah. There's a lot of it there. I mean, I actually went to newspapers.com and found some of these newspaper articles, and it's crazy. And part of that, and this is an interesting part of the story that I didn't write about in the article, but I'm going to be talking about. I'm actually doing a talk for the Triangle Skeptics.
Cool.
I'll put all the information in the break. I'll get that out to everybody because it's next week. And I'm going to talk to this because it's just not something that you see written about a whole lot as to how did this really start? Where did this come from? Where did the legend start? And there was another woman, and I think her name was Chinoweth, who lived in the area, And she was a huge spiritualist. And she assumed, because most women in their income level, they were spiritualists. So she assumed Sally was a spiritualist who just kept to herself. She also owned the local paper, and her sons ran it. And they were the ones who spread all these rumors about Sarah Winchester.
I mean, that sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks when you're just trying, when you're someone that's like, you know what? I just want to be left alone. You know, I just want to do my thing, leave me alone. And then all these rumors start, especially from someone that has a powerful voice like a newspaper.
Exactly.
You know? And then it gets out there and you're screwed. But you did address the most likely why she was reclusive, why she didn't come out so much, and why she kept to herself.
Yes, yeah, because of her health. She had really terrible health, and there's also supposition she didn't have great teeth, so people tended to be very self-conscious, as they are now. If they have bad teeth, no teeth, rotting teeth, whatever it may be. She was quite old, and dental care wasn't great in those days, and her health was deteriorating constantly, and she had difficulties. Oh, and that's another reason that often work would start. She wasn't able to manage it, so she'd say, "Okay, everybody, you need to take a break. Come back in a couple weeks, and hopefully, or a month, or whatever. I need to rest."
Okay.
And so that's another reason the construction would stop. I wouldn't be surprised if she still paid them. I don't know if that's true, but she was so generous with her time, or she just gave them jobs elsewhere. She seemed to be very creative, and her staff was very, very loyal, including her gardener, who named their youngest child after her.
Oh, wow.
Her oldest child. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oldest child after her. So that was quite an honor. How many times do you know of your employees naming your kid after
Right.
Right.
I don't think she could be crazy.
No. And you know what? It just sounds like when we dig into it, when we learn about this, it's just somebody that said, hey, like, I have the means to do what I want. And what I choose to do is I'm going to take care of the people that work for me, my family. But in return, leave me alone. Let me just live out my life, and I don't want to be around people. I don't want to show off because, like, the health was bad, and maybe she had other problems. She just wanted to keep to herself, which is
she was a quiet person naturally. She didn't seek attention, according to the records. Her sister, on the other hand, I would like to actually do a deep dive into her sister. Her sister sounds like an amazing woman as well. She was a big activist, an early activist for animal rights.
Oh,
yeah. And she got arrested many times because of her activism.
Wow.
So she was out there, and Sally was very quiet and liked to stay with her family and liked to just stay at her properties. And she was very interested in things, obviously, such as architecture. Oh, that's another thing that I don't remember if this is in the article. It all kind of gets muddled together, the Wikipedia page, the research I've done, and
I'm doing that all the time when I work on articles. And usually, like earlier today, this desk and this desk were covered with documents, and it blends together where you're like, did I write about that already? Did I do that? Where was that? Did I read that? I don't know what I did. Let me shit. I got to start over.
So after the earthquake, or just before the earthquake, actually, she bought an ark. And
like
that's what
Indiana Jones or Noah?
That's what you think, don't you think? But that's what they called them. They were huge houseboats. They were very much in vogue at that time. Yeah, they called them arks. And so she had purchased this ark and had rebuilt it and refinished it, built a dock.
I want an ark now.
Yeah.
Where are you going? What are you doing this weekend, Kenny? I'm going to my ark. That's right. Going to the ark.
Yeah.
No, you'll never own one.
Yeah, I think it was pretty expensive. But that's where she lived when she had to do some minor repairs to her Atherton property, because being on the water, there was no damage to it. So she lived on her ark while repairs were done to her more livable properties, and she chose to live her life out basically in Atherton mostly.
Okay.
And so she did not go back to the Winchester Mystery House except to visit it for
Right.
whatever reason it would be. But she might stay overnight, but she was not living there.
Okay. And I noticed, like, you call her Sally,
Mhm.
and I've always known it as Sarah.
Mhm.
So, and I know that you touched on that a little bit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what's the little mystery behind that?
So her grandmother died just shortly after she was born, and her name was Sally. And so
grandma.
the grandma. And so the
Okay.
parents called her Sally from when she was a baby because of this beloved grandmother, Sally's grandmother who
She was
died.
born
Sarah's
Sarah,
grandmother.
right?
She was born, her birth certificate is Sarah. That is what she is known as, but she signed her name mostly Sally.
Okay.
In
That's
all her correspondence, Sally. If I remember correctly, even some legal documents. I don't know if some legal documents she might have had to do Sarah, but yeah, she really embraced Sally because of the legend of this grandmother that she had.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So Brian Dunning was the one who really brought that to the forefront. And in his episode, and he was the one who contacted Susan Gerbic to say, hey, the Wikipedia page needs to be redone. And on his podcast, he makes a big point of saying, I have decided to call her Sally because that's what she was called by her friends, her family, her staff. They probably call her Mrs.
I remember
Winchester.
that. Yeah, I remember that episode. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So he decided to honor that. And so I try to do the same. I try to honor that. And it was really interesting when we went on the tour to the Winchester Mystery House in January. Susan Gerbic and a whole bunch of other people. There was, 20 of us, it felt like, in multiple tours. It was really great. They had different versions. We all talked afterwards to kind of compare notes. And Susan asked at the end, I heard that her name was Sally, not Sarah. And the guide said, yes, we understand that, but we didn't know her, so we are going to go by the formal name. It is more respectful to do that. I thought that was interesting.
I'd be pissed if people started calling me Kenneth after I die. That would be like, I would find a way back, crawl back from the depths of hell to be like, no, listen, bitch. My name is Kenny.
I thought that was a kind of a strange way to deal with it. I think it would have been fine. Yes, we're aware of that, but we've been calling her Sarah for so long, and it's in all the newspapers, it's in all the literature, so that's what we've gone with. That would be fine.
Right.
Acknowledge it and give a reason that was kind of, it felt a bit snobby or something. I don't know. It didn't feel like it was a genuine kind of, but maybe it was genuine. Maybe they do believe that. Maybe they thought it was more respectful. Right. Maybe they truly believe that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But speaking of Winchester House staff and being respectful and stuff like that, I did read that you had some trouble with the Wikipedia page and staff members. What happened there?
So I think it was the day after I published the redo of the page. It didn't get reverted. Obviously, the person didn't understand what was going on with Wikipedia. They just deleted everything I had done, left all the references on the bottom, and then just started copying and pasting because the old Wikipedia page actually was plagiarized all over the internet. Okay. And so they went to one of these sites.
What?
Yeah.
What? It isn't so. Giggles.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
What I figured out, it took me a while to figure out what they were doing, but they were copying and pasting all the text and just plunking it in and then publishing it. So now none of with no citations. So none of the citations I created existed anymore. So they were all red and there were all these tags and flags. And of course I have it on my notification. So I got notified that something had happened on my page and I went and took a look. But by then, another person had reverted it, right? Because obviously this can't happen. And that's what usually happens. People have it on their watch list. So anytime somebody publishes a new page, particularly, or even redoes in a major way an old page, a senior admin from Wikipedia is assigned to look for these, and they get notified when that happens.
Okay.
And they come in and they go, yep, we'll leave it, or nope, we won't leave it, or this is pretty good, but I'm going to put a tag on it because it's missing some information. So there's sort of 3 possibilities that can happen. And in this case, an admin came in and just went, that person, get mine. So mine was kept. And then there ended up being an edit war, which meant that this same person kept trying to revert back. And when that happens 3 times, that person gets blocked. And then somebody else kept trying to do it. And so they locked the page for, I think it was 24 hours.
Wow.
And I actually sent a note to an admin saying, hey, this is happening. Okay, no problem. Put a lock on. And so it was months later that somebody obviously tried to learn how to edit Wikipedia properly. So they went to the talk page. And if anybody doesn't know, just look at the top left. There's always a little tab on a Wikipedia page that says talk. You hit that and you'll see conversations about the page. People saying this should be done, or don't do that, or yes, do this, whatever. Or I intend to change it. Don't touch it. I mean, that's for a little while, unless you talk to me and we can maybe do it together, that kind of thing. So, because you don't want to spend a lot of time like I did recreating a page and then somebody goes in and does it and you've done all the work and now somebody else has done it. So you go to the talk page, you say, this is what I'm doing. It's going to take me a few months. Right. So that's sort of the protocol. So they went to the talk page and said, I am a person who works for the Winchester Mystery House. And I don't think these things are correct. Mary Jo Ignoffo never once came to the house and asked us our opinion.
So I've had my fair share of run-ins with tour guides. And for the most part, they don't care. They just read a script. And when you ask them questions, because I don't know if you know this about me, I ask a lot of questions. I tend to ask a lot of questions, especially when I know the information is wrong. And it's usually like, oh, I don't know. I'm just following a script. And that's actually one time in, I think Susan was with us. We were in Seattle and we took a tour, a ghost tour. And I asked questions about it. And the guy literally said, I don't know, man. I just read a script. That's it. So just that alone, saying I'm an employee at the Winchester House and they didn't bother to ask our opinion, doesn't hold water with me. It doesn't matter to me. Like, you can work there. You might be a janitor. Not that I'm saying anything's wrong with a janitor. I think they're one of the best jobs.
But they're not going to be as informed about,
right,
unless they're really into it. I guess they could be hobbyists. It could
be like a summer job, like, oh, I'm got a tour job for the summer, and I'm just going to read a script.
It is interesting though, because that we did ask that question. Do you have a script? And Susan asked it again. She just went last weekend, and they actually say yes, we have a basic script, but then we do our own research and add to it. And she said this tour that she went on this time was quite different from the one that we did last time.
Ooh.
She said this one was much more full of the ghosty stuff. Whereas when we went last time, the girl was I thought she was cute. I thought she did it quite well. She would say, well, they say that she was really into 13.
What do I say about that? Like, they say.
Yeah.
They say.
But then she would also look at she sometimes would actually look at a more reasonable explanation.
Okay.
So she would give it the both sides kind of thing, which is better than just giving the full lore. So she seemed to me like she was being kind of sarcastic about what they say. So she felt to me almost like a non-believer, which was really great. I thought it was kind of an interesting take on it. But she was also the one who said the thing about Sally versus Sarah, but that may be a stock answer too, right? They've been told to say that. So there is partly script, and it seems like they do have some freedom, but I don't think they have freedom based on the tours so far to research outside of the house. And that's, that 13. Let's get back to 13, seeing how it's
Let's do it.
Those, they feel, according to carpenters that have worked there since she died, said that those were all added after the fact. The 13 hooks were added after the fact. The 13 candles, that 13th candle was added after the fact, after she died.
You did send me pictures. So do we have?
Yeah, and they keep changing the sconces. There's one picture I can't find, of course, because I'm trying to find it. But just the other day, I was really looking into those, the candelabra, and they keep changing the sconces, which I think is really interesting. It used to be candles. It used to be a gas-fired light. And of course, they had to change it, I'm sure, over the years because of changing it to electricity. And for whatever reason, they didn't replace it with candles again. They put on these big sconces, and they had flat, kind of wide ones, and then they went to these long, tall ones. So they've had 3 iterations of the same chandelier.
Okay.
And it's interesting to me that when we're on the tour, they make it very clear that all the furniture in there was not original, because I don't think there was much in there to begin with, and all of it was taken away by Daisy and either kept or sold off. And so that none of the original furnishings are there. They're very honest about that, and I do applaud them for that. However, they don't say anything about the fact that they've done some changes to the chandelier over the years. And I have photographic evidence from various brochures that I've collected, and I've got more being sent to me from somebody who actually researched her in 1990. I was going to say 1890. And I knew that was that wouldn't be good. So she was doing some research for a fictional novel and has all this information. And she reached out to me because of the article. And so we've been corresponding, and she's been sending me some really interesting facts about Sally Winchester that, she said, are you going to keep investigating? I said, yeah, as long as there's more information, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
And so, so where was I going with this? There's a tangent. Okay.
I don't know, 13. You started with 13. You were like, yeah. But I mean, that's, I mean, I understand it. I still don't approve of it, but I understand they're trying to build this legend, and by doing that, they're getting tourists and they're getting the ticket sales. But I think that the actual history to, especially now, I think it would be great to showcase how smart of an independent and business-minded person that she was.
Yeah, a woman who overcame a lot of stigma, you weren't allowed to do a lot of the things she was doing.
Right.
It was so rare. Her finances, building a house, all those things. Oh, and another thing that people don't realize is quite often women would insert themselves into building their dream house. Their husband would hire somebody, and they would build. It was really in vogue to build really big, meandering houses. So she wasn't unusual in that.
Okay.
And I think it was Stuart Weiss, actually, who sent me some information about a real pioneer architect woman of the time from the East Coast. So it did happen. There was I think she actually did get qualified somehow. It may have just been, I can't remember the whole story. He did send me the information. I did look into it. And so she was unusual, but it wasn't unusual to have these big rambling homes that had weird architecture.
Right. And I think I really wish they would just focus on that. I mean, I think that would be so great, because I mean, I guess personally, I know if I went there and I took a tour, because I know, like you mentioned in here, you took 2 tours. You took the guided house tour, but then you took the, what was it? The
spirit tour.
Yes, the spirit tour.
Yeah.
And if I did that, I would be taking notes and going, I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. Let me look it up. Let me get my phone out. Boom, 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 boom. No, that's not true. Because I mean, I did, like, the last article I put out about the Conjuring house. Like I expressed my my opinion of when I go to a location like this, I expect the history to be accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And because you're going to the source. I mean, that's where everything happened.
Yeah.
So I have this expectation that I'm going to get accurate information. And when I don't, it really annoys the hell out of me. Because this is the epicenter of where everything happened. So why am I not getting good information?
And maybe I'm naive, but I really believe that if they told the true story, as well as included all this ghosty stuff, but sold it as an injustice, people don't like injustices.
Yeah.
Right? I think it would still sell. Maybe I'm naive about that.
I think it would.
Yeah.
I think if you spun it that way and said, oh, but you know what? Like, this was a very strong, independent woman that built this business up and even expanded it and did that and kept the community going. Yeah. But you know what? There's rumors that people started about her, and tell the rumors in that tone. Yeah. And I think you would have everyone with you. Like,
tell the story.
Yeah.
Turn it into a story. Go to that staircase that ends and say, okay, here's a staircase that ends because there was an earthquake and the house fell down and she boarded it up. However, for years, people believed she was crazy and just built stairs to nowhere.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we heard.
Isn't that awful?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Terrible to think that of this intelligent woman.
Right. And all right. We are at the hour mark. So we're going to take a break. And we're going to go out. This is your chance, everyone that's watching. If you have questions for Giggles, put them in the chat now. Yeah. What?
Did I giggle enough?
Oh, you giggle. You always giggle. You're like
Too much.
You giggle, talk, giggle, talk, giggle, talk. So it's all fluid. It's fluid.
Well, you make me laugh, Kenny.
Oh, well, I try. Everyone at home, if you're watching this, well, you should be watching it because you're paying attention. If you have a question for Adrienne and about the Winchester House or other things that she does, do us a favor, put it in the chat with a capital Q, and Donna will get to it. We will put it in the queue. We'll get to the questions in the next hour. And then for now, I'm going to queue up our commercial break video so that we can all go take a rest. So we will see everyone back here in 4 minutes and 9 seconds from now.
And now for something completely different.
Welcome, my fellow skeptics. Welcome, one and all. I am the chief investigator. Oh, come along, old chap. We will have a ball. Now, if you will excuse me, it's time to open the mic. Good night. Good night. Kenny Biddle's the main investigating's my game, and I will have at it. Quid pro quo. As the head of this committee, hunting for ghosts can be shitty, but there is nothing better that I know. I am a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? Let's open the bar and have some questions, alright? Maybe you might find an answer or two. I will find the truth this night and day, and if my name is not Kenny Biddle, then I assure you here I will not stay. Good day! Kenny Biddle's the name, goes hunting's the game. I won't let anything get in my way. Too many fakers out there, too many chefs, too many toe tappers, none of it makes any sense. I am a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? Let's open the bar and ask some questions, alright? Maybe you might find an answer or two. Who knows? There may be ghosts in the
But trust me, I am not so keen. I prefer to see these things clearly, not in 144 clean. I am a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? If you don't think I am right, let's open mic night. Yeah, yeah. I am a skeptic through and through. I question everything, don't you? If you don't think I am right, let's open mic night. Yeah. If you have an answer or two, let Kenny Biddle solve it for you. Let Kenny Biddle solve it for you. The one and only Kenny Biddle. Kenny Biddle. Kenny Biddle. Kenny
I love that. Woo! I absolutely want to say, everyone in chat, I love you guys because I watched you sing along. Type in the words to the song in the chat. That was freaking awesome. Because I sit here, I did it the one time. I think we posted the video for the members section.
Oh.
Because we did, when we played Donna's We're Not Going Into Hour 3 song.
No.
When we were going into Hour 3. We did a video. I just had the video up, and we posted us just goofing around and having fun. So I'm going to try and do that a couple more times. I forgot my phone tonight. I left it at home, which is weird. I feel naked.
Oh.
Well, not really naked. Why are you laughing? Yeah, it's so weird. It's like I got here. I was like, where's my phone?
I don't like not having my phone either.
This is bullshit. All right. So we are in the second hour. And the second hour is your hour, everyone out there in the chat room. This means that we go through the questions that you guys have put in the chat. Thanks to putting a capital Q in front of it, because you guys follow the rules. I love that. That just warms my
Everyone
heart.
except Susan Gerbic. She hasn't figured that Q out yet.
Oh, well, you know what? Is she in the chat?
She was
there?
at the she.
Damn it,
she
Susan.
came in.
Maybe she learned tonight.
Capital Q.
Just giving her a hard time.
I'm going to give her a hard time. It's all right. It's all right. I'm trying to make a plan with her for SciCon. So we'll see. We'll see. I might be tagging along on a secret mission. Anyway, all right. Michael Burkeen, do you think Sarah Winchester was superstitious by using the number 13 repeatedly?
That's a good question. There's no evidence for it because most of the stuff regarding 13 was added after the fact. So there's no evidence that she had any obsession with that particular number at all or was superstitious at all. She might have been, but there's no evidence that she did everything in 13.
Right. So you actually have here, I'm going to quote you. I'm going to quote you. I know. Isn't that so cool? I'm going to quote from your article saying when you address the number 13 issue, the myth, you call them fancy. I like that. The fancy.
I got that from Joe Nichols' 2002 article. He had a whole article that was called Factor Fancy. So it was kind of an homage to him. So thank you, Joe Nichols.
Nice. Yeah. The fancy is Winchester was obsessed with the number 13. Some examples are in the house, and you go through like bathrooms, windows, holes in the wash basin.
Yeah, in one of the plugs. There's lots of wash basins in the house, but one of them apparently has 13 holes in it.
One.
Maybe it does.
Okay.
Yeah, there's lots of wash basins I saw in there, but one of them has 13. Okay.
One. That's all you need. Just one. That's the one that's on the tour.
Yeah.
That's all you need. So the fact, right up front, you say, according to carpenter James Perkins, who worked on the property for many years, the features appearing in 13s were additions to the home after Winchester had died.
Yeah.
So that, to me, like, that's mind-blowing. I love that, because it's like, this whole thing is a complete myth.
Yeah.
It's not there.
Made up by the Browns.
Yeah. And that's, I that burns me up. That really burns me up when people just make up shit like that. And you better not make up stuff when I die first.
What am I going to make up?
I don't know. I think you can make a tell-all. You can start a book.
Okay.
Tell-all about Kenny Biddle.
Thanks for asking that, Michael, because it's important to keep saying that.
Yeah, that was good. That was really good. All right, moving on. This is awesome. Good. Oh, that's you. Change it forward. Hey, wait, is that Bob?
That's Bob.
Damn it, Bob. I love this. I was bored one day and I was like, I should make a sign. Actually, I mean, I wanted to make this sign first, but then I was like, oh, damn it, Bob. That's a good one. All right. What was the one thing you didn't expect to see in the Winchester Mystery House when you visited?
Ghosts? I don't think that's what he meant, though.
So the question is now, did you see any ghosts?
No, I did not see any. I saw some pictures of apparent ghosts, like pictures of ghosts, but I've done spirit photography. I'm into that as well.
Yes.
And so one of them looked to me like a blob of a shadow, but it was supposed to be Mrs. Winchester because it was a short shadow. And I'm looking at it going, okay, where? What? Where?
Oh, you know what? I have found, like, in all sincerity, even when you say it, when you're sincere, that is like the biggest insult to someone's ego when they're showing you a picture and they're like, do you see the ghost? And you're like, where? Where's that? And they're like, right there. Don't you see it? Nope.
And he's done that a lot.
I do that all the time. I mean, only really like once in a while is when I do it on purpose. I know what they're looking at, but technically it's still not a ghost.
Yeah.
So I'm not lying. So
Kenny, hopefully you underline this, because there was one thing that I learned for the very first time that I'd never heard of, and I don't remember what the tour guide called it. And this was in the spirit tour. We went into a room and he started talking about imprints of live people hovering in the house after they've gone. Never heard of that before. So that was something I didn't expect to hear.
That sounds like a version of residual haunting.
Yes, that's what he called it. He called it a residual. It's a different word he used. So residual something.
Residual living.
Yeah, residual living. It's in the article. So you just have to go and read the article and then you'll find out what that was called. But what was so weird about it is he said, oh yeah, other tour guides, when I have my day off and I'm not even in the building, they hear my voice. They hear my imprint. And I mean, haven't we all done that? Where you hear somebody calling you and they're not home. I mean, that's something that's natural to everybody.
I think everyone has experienced that at one time or another, whether you're in the shower or you're listening to music, and it happens because of different frequencies and a blending of white noise and
we're trying to fit it, right? We're trying to fit the sound and make something out of it. Yeah. And
depending on the acoustics of the area, you hear what you perceive as your name, but it wasn't. It was actually just the sounds created by the environment and the source of the sound. Because especially when people talk about it when they're in the shower, you have that running water. It's coming out. It's creating that white noise for you. So you already are at a disadvantage. And when you think you hear something, it's like, oh, what's that? What's going on there? Did I hear something? Because I've done that younger, like, especially because, and I think it's the situation. Like, this is a good break. I like this. Like a side quest here. Because when you're younger, if you have parents that constantly call you and say, get over here, you do this, or you got to do that. Like I would hear what I thought was my mother calling me. And that was a common thing, like always calling me because I was always doing what I wasn't supposed to be doing. So, I mean, she was constantly, yeah, like, where are you at? What are you doing? What's up? So I would hear that.
Yeah.
And I think in situations where other people are in, like, maybe they're in relationships where like the spouses call each other constantly or just yell. Like I don't yell for Donna. If I want to find her, I go look for her. And I usually find her napping. I'm gonna change that later.
It probably does. I love the
Yeah.
nap.
So
I like my naps too.
I don't just come in and go, Donna. Like I just don't do that.
I'm the one that just
You
yells
yell.
for you. Yeah, I
you
yell.
yell.
So you hear
I
Donna's
hear-
voice, but she doesn't hear yours. But it's interesting because if you think about the Mystery House and how they run it, they have one tour after the other tour after the other tour. And sometimes you can hear the people in the other tour because they're catching up to you or you're catching up to the next one. So it would be very easy for them to think, oh, that sounds just like Kenny, right? And it's not. It's a different guide or somebody else talking that maybe has a voice that sounds like him, and they just attribute it to the guide.
Okay.
Good question.
Cool. I was like,
damn it, Bob.
I'm sorry. I was distracted by the private chat because I was like, who's sending me messages? I'm like, oh, it's you. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, no, remember I said I put it in the chat for
I am so not used to any guest using the private chat. So I was like, wait, is Donna like sending me chats? How can she do that?
No.
and it was also for me, so it's typed there, so I can even say it if you don't want to say it.
Okay. All right, good.
Maybe we should tell everybody what we're talking about.
So we are talking about your talk is The Truth About Sally, September 8th, virtual.
No, 18th. I did a typo. It's 18th. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, I see the next message. September 18th for the Triangle Skeptics, 5 p.m. Mountain Time.
Yeah.
8 p.m. Eastern Time.
I think that's right. I just did I'm a math teacher, but I'm not good at doing math in my head. So I always get time changes wrong. So hopefully I got that
I
right.
will look it up. We'll take the next question, and as you're answering it, I will look it up and see if that event is posted. So
yeah, it's in Meetup.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a member of their group, so I should.
Yeah, I believe they did, Garrett. So he asked, didn't Ghost Adventures go to that place? There's a number of TV shows that have actually gone into that house, and apparently they're going again pretty soon. There's a ghost. It might be Ghost Adventures again. If not, it's one of the other shows.
I hope it's not them. I can't stand
I got notifications about it. So yeah, I got some kind of a notification saying that they were having a TV group, and I think the tickets were $200 or $250 US per person if you wanted to join them. So that's when they make the big dollars, is when those people go and do a show at the house. Same with, they have seances. Van Prague is his last name. They have him regularly. They feature him. Yeah, James Van Prague. They feature him in the tour and brag about how he has seances there all the time.
Yeah, I saw the picture and I was like, oh, God, I hate that guy. I mean, it's not. So yeah, there's the picture. Yeah. So that's a picture of him there, right?
That's a picture. It's on a pedestal, like on an art easel.
Yeah.
And I just took a picture of the picture. And
picture of the picture. We saw him in Lilydale. We went to Lilydale the first time that I went. Well, the only time you went. We went and walked by, and I stood at the back of the hall and listened to him. And 2 minutes. I mean, it was 2 minutes, I think. And I was like, this guy's full of shit. Oh my God. How does anyone sit here and listen to him? It's ridiculous what he's saying. So
I've never had the honor. As I roll my eyes. and in the 100th anniversary edition, they even talk about Sylvia Brown in here.
Oh, wow.
The worst
and
of the
those of you who don't know who Sylvia Brown is, check out the Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
Or talk to Susan.
I mean, if you don't know who she is, that's good.
Yeah, don't look her up.
I didn't know about her until I attended PsyCon in 2018. First time I met Susan and Mark, and they were doing a workshop, and they talked about this Sylvia Brown, and I learned all about her.
Yeah. I want to, and I say this all the time, so I apologize to anyone that's heard it before. One of the few people on the planet that I am happy are no longer with us because she cannot influence and take advantage of anyone anymore. So, okay, I did put. I want to make sure I say I did put the link in the chat, but I don't know if it worked right. So I will try it again in the regular chat.
Okay.
Like I will put it out there. But if you go on the meetup, actually, you know what? Right now, I'm going to put the title of it. So if you go to meetup and go to Triangle Skeptics, or search for the title that I'm putting into the chat right now, you should be able to come across it and see it. And then if you're, because I'm September, when is it? This is September 18th. So I should be able to watch. So I'm gonna get on and I'm gonna watch, and I'm gonna ask all kinds of crazy questions. All right. Who owned the house after Sarah died?
It's a great question, Chris. So it was a group of investors, and I'm sounding smart right now because I very quickly looked it up on Wikipedia. And I knew there was something about a group of investors. So they purchased it because it was in such disrepair. Nobody wanted it. So a group of investors bought it. And John and Mamie Brown approached them to rent it as an attraction. They actually had a Ferris wheel there. It was actually like a fairground that had a mystery house as part of it. But what happened was that the only thing people wanted to go and see was the house. So they just got rid of everything else. It was too expensive to run everything else. And so they got rid of everything else, started selling off the property around them. And if you go to the house right now, it's lost a lot of its grandeur because there's tall buildings all around it, and it just kind of looks diminished. And I think it's quite sad. But they did that, probably to keep things running, etc. And it's good that it's kept running. I'm glad we haven't lost the house. And the Browns family, descendants of the Browns, still own it.
Okay. I mean, that's good. I'm opening it in maps now just to see the satellite view. And there's a lot. It's surrounded.
Is surrounded. In fact, it was really interesting. A friend of ours, Robin, was driving there, and she hadn't been for years. She drove right past it because she said it used to just stand out. It just used to be right there, and it was beautiful. And now it's just surrounded by apartments, and the ones off on the bottom there, they're quite tall. They're much taller than the house itself. So it's just
you can see the deep shadows. Right.
Yeah.
If you compare the shadows of the house itself and the trees, you can see that these are much taller. Yeah. So that blocks it. But that's depressing because it's surrounded by the neighborhood, industrial park here. Wow. That sucks because that takes away. That really takes, because that kills. I had this idea that it was like out in the country. You know,
would have been disappointed. I kind of thought that too. Yeah. I thought the same thing. I didn't expect it to be right there surrounded by buildings, by modern things. And apparently she had a beautiful garden, and they do have a garden there that you can walk through, which is quite lovely. It is beautiful. And many of the original statues that she had commissioned to be made, a lot of them from Europe. So it is still interesting to go to. I think I would like to see them redo many of the rooms, because what they have done and they've chosen to do is leave, and maybe they stripped them. I don't know. It's hard to imagine that all those rooms were bare bones when they bought it, but it's possible. It's possible things got stripped out and reused. I don't know. But the spirit tour was, of course, through all the shambly, duck your head, you need to have a hard hat, poorly lit, not very nice. So I try and use my hands and spill my drink. So it wasn't very nice. And then the house tour has all the finished rooms. It's very beautiful. I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, because they set the stage. That's priming to me.
For
you know,
sure.
like they're saying, we're going to go into this dangerous, spooky, unfinished area, which is where the ghosts live.
Yeah.
So, yeah, get ready, people. You're going to get scared. All right. Michael's got a question. Do you think the guns really were cursed, or is it just a myth?
Well, that's another good question about the guns, because that's one of the legends, is that the guns were cursed, and she was afraid of the ghosts of the people who died. And there's no evidence that she thought the guns were cursed. There's no evidence that she thought anything about people who had died because of the Winchester repeating rifle. And that's because she could have sold all her stock. She didn't need to stay. She was on the board of the company until the day she died. So my guess is, if she had any real guilt, and if she thought the guns were cursed and was afraid of them, that she would have left the board. Yeah. She would have had nothing more to do with them, but she was an active member of the board until she died. Yeah.
Right. Wash your hands of it, get rid of everything, and move on.
Yeah.
And, so, yeah.
And also, it was at that time. So that's one of the guilt thing with the guns is something that came later in history, from my understanding. At the time, like in the late 1800s, owning a rifle was something that people did for survival. So they didn't actually have guilt around it, right? They didn't have that feeling. It was something used for survival. So that didn't come until that sort of guilt idea, I don't think, came until the First World War, but I may be wrong with that. It's in Mary Ignafo's book. She talks quite a bit about that, actually.
Cool. All right, moving on. Dun, 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 dun. What do we got? Bob. Damn it, Bob.
Ah! That's what was missing. Bob, you're right on.
Yes, right. I think every spirit tour should include rum. I mean, that's standard.
I think so. And they don't sell it in the gift store. I have to say, it's one of the best gift stores I've been in. They had some quality stuff in there. Like I bought a sweatshirt. It's lovely. It's soft and I like it. For Calgary winters, it's wonderful. So they do have a nice gift store. I'll give them that.
I am a sucker for a gift store. I mean, I buy, no matter where I go, I will buy something from the gift shop.
Yeah.
Because that for me, that's therapy, because I know I'm going to write about the place, and usually by the time I get to the gift shop, I'm like, it's not going to be pretty. It's really not. So I might as well go to the gift shop. I will buy something to make myself feel better, because I'm doing something for them. So that I can write and trash.
The purpose of the article and what I'm doing with Wikipedia is not to condemn a business. I want them to thrive. I don't want to see that house disappear. I want the tours to continue, but it would be nice if they changed them, like we talked about earlier. That's all. I just would like it to be about the real history, more like a museum, I think. I love museums. So I would love to see it more museum style, even if it was with a tour guide. I'm fine with that.
I think these places miss an opportunity a lot, and this is across the board with like mansions and asylums and jails and stuff like that, where you have years worth of life stories contained within that building, and the people that went there and what happened to them and why it happened to them. And especially if you can interview some, especially like Eastern State and stuff like that, where you could interview the prisoners afterwards and talk to them, get their stories. And it's almost like it becomes part of a living history kind of thing where you can interact. And I think we lose that, because the first thought, usually by people that buy it, is let's go with the really easy ghost story.
Yeah.
And we'll just make
There's
shit
no
up.
No effort required. Yeah. And if you look at, this is Mary Jo Ignafo's, her most recent book, 2022.
Okay.
And look at how thick that is.
And all the flags. I love that.
Can you tell I've done some research?
Yes. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. And so the story is tremendous. There's so much in there that could be put into that house to make it pretty spectacular.
So that compared to the book that you got when you went on the tour, like the book, the original one, and the anniversary tour. So yeah, look at that.
Mhm.
And I think that
And it's mostly pictures.
okay,
They're beautiful, right? They're lovely, lovely pictures.
right.
There is written. This one's cool. Sightings and stories.
Ooh.
Oh, and then they talk about the movie, the one with
That was
Helen
horrible.
Mirren.
That was
Yeah.
so bad.
Joe Nickel gave it 1 wooden nickel as a rating. That was
It
lovely.
was so bad.
But you can see lots of pictures.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. It's a souvenir guide,
Right.
right? So, but still,
I-
they don't sell. They should sell Mary Jo Ignofo's book in
Yes.
the bookstore. That's what I think.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, because that's just looking at the size comparison and knowing that the good research book is probably mostly text, giving you the research and
Oh, yeah.
the
Very
documentation.
good pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I do have. I think I have an earlier version. That I
You have
picked
the
up.
early. One of the things she did, which was really cool, she added some information that she found, particularly about ex tour guides.
Okay.
And so they contacted her after the book came out, and so she included some of their stories
Oh, that's cool.
and how some of them knew the truth about her after reading Mary Jo Ignofo's book, and they believed the book. And then they felt terrible when people would say, because they're giving their tour that they're supposed to give, they would hear people say, "Oh, what a crazy lady. Can you believe that?" And they would feel terrible about it,
Right.
which
As they
is
should.
good. Yeah, as they should.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it sounds to me like they're giving more leeway as to what people do on the tours a little bit, but I'm sure there's still some of that going on.
Okay. All right. We got a lot of questions.
Yeah, we gotta get going.
Donna's like, all right. I hear her over here going, we gotta get going.
Yeah.
Come on. Caroline. All
I
right,
can talk
Jody.
forever. You know that, John. Kenny and I. Oh no, it's a problem. Yeah.
Not really a question. Just want to thank Adrienne for
Oh.
sharing so much of the true story we all didn't know.
Thank you, Jody. That's lovely.
Awesome.
It
Jody.
means a
Thank
lot.
you. Thank you so much. That's good. Cat's meow.
Wow.
How old was Sarah when she passed away? How many
Ah.
years was she a widow living on her own?
Her husband died in
1881.
1881, was it?
Yes.
Not 86? No, she moved to California in 1886.
Yes.
And and then she died, I think she was 81. Does that sound right? Thinking from memory.
1922? Was it? Was that it?
Yeah, 1922. And she was born. Let's do some math.
Oh boy. I gotta do math. I hate math.
She was born in 1839.
39. Yes. So I don't have my phone. I need a calculator.
I'm a math teacher. I don't do stuff in my head. Can't do it.
40. So
Are you doing it?
61 and 70, 81, 83. She was 83 when she died.
Close. Yeah.
All right.
So
83 when she died, and she
Yeah.
was a widow.
a long time.
22 plus, yeah, it's 32. Yeah, almost 40 years.
No one can do the math. I love it.
We're doing this on the fly.
She
My
was
response-
between 81 and
My response to people who say, "But you're a math teacher. Why can't you do this in your head?" And I say, "I'm good at algebra. I'm really good at algebra. Give me some calculus. Forget the arithmetic stuff. I can't do that."
Oh, I can't do math. I leave that to math people. Damn it.
Hey,
All right.
if I have a pen and pencil, I can do anything. But to try and do it in my head, I just can't see it. I can't do it, and I'll make a mistake. So I just leave it to others.
I usually ask Alexa.
We could have asked Siri. Whew.
Yeah. All right. Good.
Uh-huh.
Moving on. Cat Mac. What's up, Cat? Who else finds themselves singing the break song at random times? It just can't be me, right? Dude, I totally sing it. As soon as it comes on, I wait for it like, and now for something a little different. Yeah, here we go. Welcome, my fellow skeptics. Welcome one and all.
I was dancing. Does that count?
Yes, absolutely. Because it's a catchy tune.
Yeah.
I like it. Wait till the ending one too. I love the ending.
I like that. And I'm in there, I think.
Yes, I think you are.
Yeah.
Because I like to share.
Yeah,
You know,
it's really nice, actually.
everyone makes this show. Not everyone does. This is a team effort. All right,
Mhm.
Cree Storm. I love that name. You might have already answered this, but I was in and out. How did all the talk about seances get started? Ooh,
Great question, Cree, and we have not talked about it, so it's a good one to bring up. Yeah, so there was lots of rumors or legends or lore that she hosted seances and parties for the ghosts. So first there is the seance part, and then there's the ghost part. So there's kind of two stories going on. So she would host dinners at, I think it was midnight. She would host them in a specific room, and she would lay out all these gold plates and have the ghosts over for dinner. And apparently she kept all those gold plates in a safe in the house. Of course, when she died, they opened up the safe. They found no gold plates and just a lock of her baby's hair that had died. That's it.
Wow.
You know, and some papers. There were some papers too, right? Some legal stuff and stuff. But the only sentimental thing was a lock of hair.
What did the ghosts eat? I mean, that's as soon as you said like you'd had the ghost over for dinner, I'm like, for what? And all I can think about is that scene from Casper,
Yeah.
the movie where they're all eating and it just falls right through them.
And do you remember, the Haunted Mansion apparently is based off of the Winchester Mystery House. And there is that scene where the ghosts are eating at a dining room table.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So, imaginary food, I guess. I guess they have food in the afterlife. I don't know.
Okay.
And the other one was that she had a seance room where she would contact the ghosts and ask them the best way to proceed with ghosts.
I glanced over and saw it.
Oh, Bob, that's great. Yeah, so she would hold these seances to talk to the ghosts and the spirits to find out the architectural plans for the next day.
Right.
And she would ring the bell to summon the ghosts at night. And no, she didn't do that. There's no evidence. And apparently she did this in a closet, which is really weird. I don't know why she would hold these seances in a closet because, seances at that time, they were social events. They had people over. They weren't solitary. So it was very unusual for the time if she did it, which there's no evidence she did. And her staff, etc., they said, no, that doesn't happen. That never happened. She was not a spiritual woman. And her longtime companion said, no, never seen anything like that. Okay. So I don't think she ever conducted any seances that we know of. I guess it's always possible she did one or two, but it's not known. And the bell tower thing, the bell was there to summon the workers and also to act as a fire alarm if a fire broke out. So there was practical reasons for the bell tower that had nothing to do with ghosts.
Okay.
And the other one it's not really associated with seances, but maybe this sparked the rumor of the seances and the parties she held with the ghosts at night. There was eerie music that could be heard over by her neighbors and down the valley in the distance at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. That could have fueled that rumor. What was she doing? She played the organ. She was very musically talented. She was very gifted with languages. She was a very smart woman. And so because of her arthritis, she couldn't sleep and she would get up and play music. And that's probably what was heard. It's a good question, Cree. Thanks.
I gotta say, like every time I dive into an investigation where I go through the history of people, I absolutely love you kind of step into their lives, and you follow them and you learn so much about them and you become so familiar with them. And like it sounds like
kind of fall in love with them a little bit.
Yeah. Because you're like, oh, I know so much about this person. Yeah. And I wish I could meet them.
Yeah, for sure.
She sounds like a fun person to hang out with.
Yeah, very smart person to hang out with. That's for sure. Yeah.
Teach me how to keep my money in my pocket. All right. Cat's meow. Did Sarah believe in the paranormal?
Great question. And to be honest, nobody really knows. But we can't for sure 100% know that she didn't believe that spirits existed, that there wasn't some kind of an afterlife of some sort. She was quite religious. So I'm sure she believed in heaven and God. I'm guessing, that's just because she went to church. She also was a huge benefactor to churches. She donated a lot of money. And so, but when it came to, did she believe that the guns were cursed? Did she believe that the ghosts were trying to find her in her house? There's no evidence for that. There's no evidence of that type of belief. There's no evidence of her believing in anything that the spiritualist movement was entertaining at that time. So that's all I can say to that.
Because she was, I think, in the article somewhere, and I don't know where it is. She was part of a religion. She wasn't necessarily religious, but she did follow.
Yeah, I mean, they were very progressive religions for the time.
Baptist, that's it. Yeah.
So she was Baptist. She was also Pentecostal, I believe, and then she donated to the Catholic Church when she lived in the San Francisco area.
Right.
So I mean, it's hard to pin her down, right? So she obviously felt that religion was important. Whether she actually believed in a god or believed those things, I can't say. She may have, she may not have. I don't know.
Fair answer. Yeah, fair answer. There's just nothing to say either way.
Yeah.
So, Kent Anderson, what's up? Was there any evidence of her concern for the rifles killing people?
No, there was no evidence for that. And it would be very unlikely that there would have been concern at that era just because of the culture around the rifle.
Right. Okay, good.
Thanks, Kent.
We're getting through. Julie R. Wouldn't it be better to celebrate her as a strong woman than in fear of ghosts? How can we change or challenge this? I think I'm going to just jump in and just say, I think we are little by little, because with this article that she come out, and honestly, if you can get this issue, I'm totally going to free plug it, but get this issue of Skeptical Inquirer, because the article is in there. Read the article, and then when you go visit and the tour guide says something that doesn't fit the truth, say, hey, I got a question. Be polite, but say, I got a question, and bring it up. I think that's how we can start doing that. And if you see it online, challenge it. The article's there, the information is there. The two books that you put up, well, the book and then the magazine that we have, there's your sources. You can reference them. So feel free to use those.
And there's also other articles by Joe Nickel, and the Winchester Mystery House also appears in lots of other sources, like Joe Nickel's books. There's another one, Colin Davies, I think is his name. There's she appears in lots of books. So, there's lots of resources. It's just getting it out there and getting known. And this is going to help for sure. And as Kenny says, I was even having little pictures of take the magazine and leave it in offices. Because if you see the Mystery House, people are going to read that article, right?
That's right. You put it in there, people will pick it up and they'll just glance through it. I take it to conferences. I take a bunch of copies of different issues with me to conferences, paranormal conferences, and put them out there for free. And people can take them and you get a sample of it. You get to see what we're talking about, what we're writing about. And it's not all poo-pooing on everything. It's giving you this kind of information, which is vital for what we're doing. So,
and as an interesting story, I think the reach of Skeptical Inquirer magazine has become a bit apparent to me, because I actually had somebody reach out to me. I've had a few people reach out to me, which is lovely. And one of them is an Uber driver in the area of the Winchester Mystery House. And he said that he tries to, when they're going to the house and he's taking people to the tour, he tries to give them a lecture about what really was going on. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what you should do. So hi, Henry, if you're listening or watching.
That's awesome.
Keep doing that. So that, those are little things that people can do to help spread the word that this was an amazing woman. So
awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, moving on. Gareth. Am I saying that right? Gareth, I think. Gareth Bro, what's up? Do you think she went a bit crazy the way she built the house, or was she just eccentric?
I would say neither of those, to be honest. Yeah. I think that she was smart. I think that she was trying to be an architect without any training. So I think any of us would have difficulty with that. And then when the earthquake hit and destroyed her beautiful mansion, it looked crazy when it wasn't. So I don't, she might have been a bit eccentric, but there's no evidence of that.
Right. And it's just, building on, doing what you want to. There's no reason to take something out when you can just build over it.
And if you've ever visited some of these older mansions,
yeah,
there's no rhyme or reason to some of them. So that was not unusual for the time.
that's something like I've noticed. I like watching a lot of older renovations on YouTube where they buy old schools or old houses and they renovate and they find doorways that were bricked up or walled up. They find hallways. Yeah, they find all this stuff. So this is not unheard of, and it's why spend the money on the expenses of covering something up when you can just build on one side of it and you're done. You have your room, you have your building.
And maybe we don't know. She might have had plans to get rid of that door eventually and just never got there. We don't know.
Right. She might said, I'm done.
She was still building when the earthquake happened, right?
Right.
So, and how much of that too was added after the fact that it never really was that way? We don't know.
Right. Like with the chandeliers and stuff like that you talked about. Yeah.
Hooks.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cree Storm. I understand that you guys are hard skeptics, but do you think it is a bit insensitive to laugh at others' beliefs? I'm talking about the honestly believers.
I would hopefully never laugh at others' beliefs. I don't think I'd laugh at them. I might challenge them.
I don't think we did.
Do you feel like we laughed at them tonight? I hope not. That's not what we're trying to do. That's for sure. To make that clear.
I mean, I think I don't know if this is what you're getting at, but I think there's a difference between what maybe some paranormal enthusiasts will put into this belief, as in like promoting a belief without researching it. In that case, then I don't have a problem with saying, hey, like they didn't do the work. They just didn't do it. And there is no respect there. I don't think you just give respect. I think respect is earned. So if you promote a story without bothering to fact check it at all, there's no need for me to be polite on my side. I mean, I try to do it anyway, but I will challenge it. I will bring it up. I will say, hey, like this isn't cool. You're screwing with somebody's reputation. So I don't know if that's what you're talking about here. If you could clarify.
When we were on the tour, we're not going to start laughing at them. They're going to say something that I know was done after the fact. I have trouble even calling them out on it. So I just would be very respectful. And, my way of doing it is getting the proper information on a Wikipedia page, getting it into an article. I don't think there's laughter there. I hope not. And I have seen Kenny at work. He's amazing. He's so kind to everybody. He may be questioning and he's not going to back down, but he's also kind. And I think he treats people with respect. So I hope that's when you're talking directly to them.
Yeah. I mean, and I mean, when it comes to beliefs,
as long as they're respectful.
If you want to have a belief, that your own belief, that's cool. I respect that. I respect the fact that you can have your own belief. I don't have to respect the belief itself. If I don't think it's credible, if I think it's ridiculous, that's just how it is. I'm not going to buy into it. But I will also fight for your right to have your own belief. With that said, understand that if you put a belief out into the public, and especially if you're promoting it as true, then it's open to criticism.
Yeah.
And I can challenge it. I can say, hey, I fact checked what you said doesn't hold up.
Yeah.
This is the problem and here's why. And I think if we laugh, we're making jokes at everything overall. It's not specifically at the person. It's, we're just having fun with the situation. So again, like if you can clarify
at everything. So it's
well, yeah, you laugh. But yeah, Cree, if you can clarify what you mean, maybe we can address it again before we go.
Thanks.
So, all right, moving on. Teacher it forward. That doesn't. What are you doing, Bob? Teacher it forward. I'm laughing at you, Bob. I'm sorry. What got you interested in the Winchester Mystery House? When was the first time you heard about the house?
I think the first time that I heard about the house might have been before Brian Dunning's Skeptoid podcast, but may not have been. It was around that time. I'd never heard of it, I don't think. It's not something that was in my... I didn't know about it. I'm from Canada. Hey, you know.
Hey.
Hey. And so it was Brian Dunning's Skeptoid podcast, and then him reaching out to Susan Gerbic, the two combined, and saying the page needs a redo. And by that time, I was kind of the ghosty girl for Wikipedia. My very first project, my graduation project, was on haunted house. And I grew up in a household, and I think this sort of goes to the belief thing. If you grow up in a household where you believe in ghosts, you're probably going to believe in ghosts as an adult. I grew up in a household that didn't believe in ghosts. So as an adult, I didn't. And I found it very fascinating that others did. So it was really like more of a cultural interest, the lore. It was fascinating to me, and I wanted to learn more. So that's probably when I first heard about the Winchester Mystery House, actually, because it's on that page. So there we go. That would have been 2020.
Okay.
I first heard about it.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, of course, when it came out about who will take on this page, I'm like, ooh, I'll do that. Cool. And I wanted to learn more about it. And of course, I take forever because you go down rabbit holes. It takes a while.
I know. Don't worry. I totally relate with that.
Susan always gets on my case. Okay, and how long is this going to be now, Adrienne?
I sit here and I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to finish this article I've been working on for the last week. I'll be done by noon. And then next thing you know, I'm like,
yeah.
What's that? Who's that person? And I'm like, oh shit, I got an article to do. What time is it? Oh, it's 5 o'clock. I'm getting a text saying, hey, dinner's ready. You coming home?
Like, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. And so when I did the haunted house page, I was fascinated. I thought it was like learning about different cultures, about ghosts in China and Japan and India. And it was fascinating to me. But when I started investigating the Winchester Mystery House, I actually got mad because here is this intelligent woman being portrayed as crazy and superstitious.
Right.
And I didn't like that very much. So that really drove me, I think, to really kind of get into it a little more than I have at any other project I've done.
That's good, though. That's a good motivator. Yeah. As long as you stay on track. You know, some people get mad and they're out for the kill. And they want to just do whatever they want to do to make their own belief what you read. And
remember, I mean, if I've learned new details that I'm wrong with, great. We'll address that. And again, I don't want this story to go away. I think it's fascinating, the whole ghost crazy stuff. I don't want it to go away. I just want the truth to be told as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. we're getting to the end, so we got to get through some of these questions.
Oh my goodness.
We'll go to hour 3. Steph says, has anyone ever told you that you could be Diane Keaton's twin?
No, I've never had that.
Awesome.
Thank you. Not offended.
Good. All right. Kit Ford. What's up, Kit?
Hey.
You think a lot of the perception of her as being crazy lady could be chalked up to the garden variety misogyny?
Kenny, you want to touch that?
I mean, we've talked about like you've already mentioned about like at the time, and this is something we have to consider, the time frame that this takes place. Yeah, there was not a lot of opportunities for women to progress. To get
in this day and age, you would call misogyny.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
And this was an opportunity. And I've talked about this repeatedly with mediums. When spiritualism came about and mediumship really exploded, it was an opportunity because then women could they could pretty much do what they wanted to do.
They could finally give advice and be listened to.
Yes.
Yeah.
And not to shut up or know your place or anything like that. There was none of that. So I'll pass it on to you now.
You did very well.
Thank you.
I think for sure. I mean, today we would call it misogyny for sure. And the fact a woman can't be intelligent, there's no way she can build her own house. So she has to be crazy.
Right.
Right? I
Right.
mean, I'm pretty sure it's even stated that way in Mary Jo Ignafo's book.
Yeah.
That did happen.
Because if it was the other way around,
Yeah.
and she had died and her
Mhm.
husband had moved on or lived on, then
We wouldn't be talking.
right, we would not be talking about this. If he did exactly the same shit that she
Mhm.
did, we
Yep.
would not be talking about the house
Right.
at all. It wouldn't be a thing.
Mhm.
And it's a shame. It really is a shame when you start thinking about this and
Oh,
looking back in
terrible.
history. And
Yeah.
if we treated everyone equal right from the beginning,
Mhm.
how far advanced would we be?
Well, what did I hear somebody say recently? Like, how many Mozarts are we missing? Female Mozarts, and how many female Einsteins? You know, that kind of thing. Uh,
I swear we would be in Starfleet right now. We would be in the Star Trek generation if we would just had shut up and stop being assholes to each other and just treated everyone equal.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
moving on.
question.
No, Creestar, not really a question. Just wanted to say I noticed Wikipedia has changed a lot of what they say about the Winchester House.
Yes.
Okay. That I don't know about that, but
Yeah,
that
it was
probably updates.
It was basically filled with the lore that was being sold by the Winchester Mystery House tour.
Okay.
And now it's the history, according to many people, Brian Dunning, Joe Nickel, Mary Jo Ignafo, to name a few. I mean, that was one of the arguments by a different admin when they tried to change the
Right.
Wikipedia page. They came on and basically said, hey, we've got historians here that are quoted versus somebody that wants to make a profit from the house. That's what was said by an admin, not me. I just stay out of the fight. Okay, go ahead.
You quote. I'm going to quote you
Mhm.
because in that case,
Yeah.
the Wikipedia editor, I guess, came back and said, so in this case, and I'm shortening it. I'm only going to read half.
It's a
So in this
long
case,
page.
we have Joe Nickel, Mary Jo Ignafo, Brian Dunning, Katie
Mhm.
Dauld, Colin Dickey, etc., writing in line with the scientific consensus, and also as experts who are importantly independent of monetary incentive to promote mystery, drama, superstition, hype, etc.
Yeah.
So that they did not have a vested interest in this.
No.
It was putting out the facts.
And so that was from I was not an admin. It's just another editor who was explaining, but a very senior editor, been around for a long time. So, and they were explaining to this person why they couldn't do the changes that they were trying to do.
Right.
They were trying to get rid of all mention. Once they couldn't get the lore in, they wanted all mention of the falsities removed and just the bare bones history of the house left. And it didn't happen. They couldn't argue themselves into it. As I say, once I publish, one of the things Susan teaches you is just leave it alone. And it usually works out pretty well. As long as you've got good resources, good secondary resources that are reputable. So you can't just have anybody. And, like he said, university historians who have really researched this. So it's not easy to get stuff to stick, but if you do it right, it sticks.
Okay. Dragon Ranger. Awesome name, dude.
That is a great name.
Yes, a lot of stories are wrong, contrast to the actual history. What is your take on the evidence that has been captured by investigators that debunk evidence before claiming paranormal?
I'm not sure I understand.
You understand? Yeah, what is your take on evidence that has been captured by investigators that debunk evidence before claiming paranormal? I'm not sure what's being said here.
I'm not sure either.
I'm not sure.
Can you clarify that for us?
I wonder if you're saying what about the evidence that investigators
have found?
That maybe investigators that to be honest, the lore is part of the history though. Well, yeah, I get.
The lore is part of history, so I don't want it to go away. Yeah,
I'm not sure about this. If you can clarify this, we'll get back to this. I'm not sure what that means. All right. Cat Mac, since it's Friday the 13th, what is one of your favorite, most odd superstitions from the woman in the black cat?
With the black cat.
With the black cat. Yes.
Ooh. Have you ever heard? I remember meeting my husband's family and his grandmother, lovely lady, who had a superstition that I'd never heard of. I mean, my favorite one is that I knock on wood all the time, but and that was that if you spilled salt, it was bad luck. But if you threw it over, now I can't remember if it was the right or the left shoulder, one of the shoulders,
Okay.
it would negate that.
Yeah. I
So I thought that was really interesting. I don't know if it's odd enough, but I liked it.
I don't really have superstitions. I don't think.
No, I don't really have
I don't
any
think
either.
so. I don't really buy into them. I mean, I have my own quirk. I don't really call it a superstition. I call it a quirk where I can't take, if I go to buy an electronics, whatever, I can't take the first one. I won't take the first one on the shelf. I will go in the back and I will go 2 or 3 in the back and take that box because I'm always worried that someone had taken the front one and they dropped it and they put it back. So I won't take the first one. I just can't do it.
Well, that's actually a pretty good one to have, actually. I think it makes some sense.
I justify it. Justify it every time.
He tries.
I try.
But he really has a problem when there's only one on the shelf.
Yeah, I know. Then I'll be like, excuse me, kid in the shirt. Can you go in the back and check if there's more? He's like, well, there's one more there. No, there's not. It's not there anymore. Don't worry about it. It's broken. Trust me, it's broken.
That's really funny. Yeah, so I'm not superstitious, but I still knock on my head just because it's fun to do. And I also like the one where you're not supposed to open an umbrella in a house. I do it all the time.
Yeah, I do that.
Right.
Yeah, it's just practical. But yeah, so she, did you see Kat said it was, now I've forgotten already.
Over
Was
the
right
left
shoulder. Thank you, the left shoulder.
Left
Kat knows.
shoulder.
That's why it doesn't work for me. Throwing it on the wrong shoulder. What the hell? All right. We're getting down to the wire here. We're doing good. We're almost there. Dragon Ranger investigators. Oh, okay. Clarifying that look at logical sounds, shadow, etc., and say this can be explained before they say this could be paranormal.
Oh, so you're saying that we're going in deciding beforehand, or an investigator is deciding beforehand what it is before the possibility of it being paranormal. They're not even open to considering it. It almost sounds like. Does that sound right, Kenny?
I guess so. I'm still confused. I'm still a little confused.
I
I
think he's
apologize,
kind of
Dragon Ranger. I'm
backwards.
not sure.
Yeah.
before
Yeah,
they
I would
answer.
hope that most, like I know yourself, Kenny, when you go into an investigation, you don't go in saying it's not paranormal and I'm going to prove it not being paranormal. You're
right.
going to go in saying it could be paranormal, but let's look at other alternatives.
Right. Let's look at everything. Let's
Yeah.
look at all of the data that we can collect and go from there. And then even, especially in my line of work, investigators, the title investigator, I'm going to try and make this short. The title investigator is usually self-styled. It's given to oneself. Because when you have your hobbyists, which are the vast majority of the community, they give themselves that title. So are they really investigators? No. There's no training. There's no real experience. They basically watch what they see on TV and they mimic it going in. So there's a very limited education when it comes to investigative skills and methodology. But I do have a background in photography and video editing. Some in audio, not as much as the video and photography, but I can bring that experience. I also have different certifications that I can bring to the table when I investigate these things. So even when a group goes in and says, hey, we captured something, we explained all of this other stuff, but now we're left with this thing, then we can't explain it. But just that means that immediately your next step should be going out to find someone that can help you explain it. You know, you should consult other people, which is not a lot of groups do. Very, very few of them actually do it. And you need to find someone that's knowledgeable in that area that can say, hey, I can give you some reasons why this might happen. And we don't see it. And I don't see that with a lot of groups. That's why I don't really trust a lot of groups when they present evidence. because I do like to see it myself. Not that I'm the end all be all. I don't make the conclusion, but I can offer some information about it. And that's Donna's way of moving it along.
Come on.
Well, before you leave, I think you and I both would agree that if there was evidence, we really actually hope it is a ghost this time. Like,
Yeah.
it would be so exciting to find a ghost and to prove that there is a ghost. I think it'd be cool.
He
And
does.
to answer Bob, here it is, the
There you
Bible.
Dragon Ranger also mentions he says like Jason Hawes. Forgive the name drop. So I guess people that do try to debunk things, but then also offer like we don't know what this is. And I can also talk on that because I am friends with Jason. We do talk, and I have offered explanations to him for a plethora of things. But sometimes we'll discuss pictures or video or something like that, and he understands what I'm saying, but he still goes with what he already believes. And that's his right. I mean, he can do that. So we'll disagree on that. I think that's as far as I can go with this. All right.
And I've left this up long enough. Hopefully you got it, Bob.
Yeah, I hope Kenny didn't read the
There you
question.
go. I think I do have. I did order the first version.
I think you have this one.
Yes. Yeah, I have that one.
Actually, Mary Jo very kindly sent me this. Isn't that nice?
That's really nice.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
I'd love to meet her one day.
Well, maybe we can get her to go to SciCon.
She should do a talk.
I would love if she did a talk on that. That would be so cool.
What was her name again?
Mary Jo Ignafo.
Igno.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll look.
That's
I
how you
know
call
I
it.
have the book on the shelf here.
Okay.
Oh,
so,
where?
yeah.
Sorry.
There you
I
The other camera.
yeah, it was backwards, so it's hard for me to read. For me, anyway, it's backwards for me. All right.
All right. Good. We're almost there. Almost there. Okay.
Sounds like you're trying to get rid of me.
Well, listen. Well, listen, bitch. My name is Kenny B on a merch. I will never do that. I will never do that. I mean, it's funny. It makes me laugh. But I absolutely hate the name drop thing. I will never say.
That's when you were talking about Kenneth.
Oh,
if someone
yeah.
calls you Kenneth.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
perfect. I
I
love
mean,
that.
that's yeah, I would totally do that. I would make a sign up. Like, "Listen, bitch, my name is Kenny. Because I mean, there was when I was younger, you know, you were called Kenny. I was called Kenny, not you. I was called Kenny, and until I got to be a teenager, and then I wanted to be Ken because I wanted to be grown up, you know. And then I realized that was dumb. I didn't want to do that.
I always called you Kenny.
Yeah, you called me
no matter
Kenny,
what.
and it just it stuck. So, but all right, moving on. Let's see, Kenny. Whoa, okay.
What
There you
happened?
What's going
Hold on.
Will you ever come to the UK? And when? UK GB. What's that?
Great Britain,
Great Britain. Oh, okay.
the Canadian.
How'd you make
No,
it go
thanks.
small like that? How'd you make it go small? That's
You
cool.
have to-
Cool.
if you hold it in on your phone, it'll go small.
Oh,
If you hold in the button. You didn't know that?
I did not know that.
Ah.
I learned something new. All right. I would really love to. It's just you know, my allowance does not allow me to do that. I would love to come over there for like a few months to be able to do a tour. I am pulling for maybe next year. We'll see, because rumor has it that there's a Skeptic World Conference going on next year.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping, not that I believe in superstitions, so ignore the finger cross.
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Just make
that-
sure it's in threes, like your finger, two fingers and a toes or something. I don't
Well,
know. Speaking of superstitions, because good things
Yeah.
happen in threes, or is it bad things?
yeah, okay. Three. Yeah, so I'm hoping that I might get picked to be the ones that one of our representatives from CFI to go over there and talk. I was trying to get out there this year. I was almost at a conference with who was I going to be? With oh my goodness, I forget what his name is.
Blah blah blah.
It was a skeptics conference that was going to be in France, right outside of Paris, and I was Chris French. I was going to talk with him. I think I was like in between Chris French and somebody else that was talking, and it would have been great, but unfortunately I couldn't get approval to go. So hopefully next year we'll see, or maybe eventually once the economy gets better and we're more stable with everything here.
We'll go for 3 hours.
Yeah.
We'll get over there. So
Donna's tired.
I know, Kat. Yeah, oh, that hear that laugh? That's like whatever. Wrap it up.
All the questions are done.
Can we play your song anyway? People like your song. Can we play?
Why don't
She
you
said,
end
"Okay,
it?
all right,
Why
we're gonna
don't
play
you
her
end it
song.
with that?
We're gonna play her song, everybody. Here we go. All right, so we'll be taking a short 2.5 minute break with Donna's song. Here we go now.
In the skeptical help bar, there's a guiding star, keeping chats in line. She's the queen of the bar, with a wink and a smile. She keeps things flowing. Divine Donna's on the scene to keep you from trolling. Divine Donna, watch her keep the show on track. Moderates with flair, she's got your back. With her love, Kenny Biddle every Friday night. In the skeptical help bar, she's a delight. Start your questions with a capital Q, so Donna can pose them for you. Follow the Swayze rule and be nice, or she'll kick you out for life. Divine Donna, watch her keep the show on track. Moderates with flair, she's got your back. With her love, Kenny Biddle every Friday night. In the skeptical help bar, she's a delight. Rarely says a word, unlike her hubby. Doesn't let the show run into hour 3. She may be quiet, but she reads all the chats. So say hi, or thanks, she deserves that. Divine Donna, watch her keep the show on track. Moderates with flair, she's got your back. With her love, Kenny Biddle every Friday night. In the skeptical help bar, she's a delight. Rarely says a word, unlike her hubby. Doesn't let the show run into hour 3. She may be quiet, but she reads all the chats. So say hi, or thanks, she deserves that. Divine Donna, watch her keep the show on track. Moderates with flair, she's got your back. With her love, Kenny Biddle every Friday night. In the skeptical help bar, she's a delight. In the skeptical help bar, she's a delight.
I'm singing. I'm like, in the skeptical help bar, she's a delight. She's like, yeah, come on, let's wrap it up. let's go. I want to go home. All right.
Especially the part about Kitty talking too much.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's so
I mean,
true.
that made me crack up. That made me crack up. It's so true. So true. I never shut up. So are we good? Do we have?
Yeah, there were no
we're
more
done.
questions.
Oh, there were no. We answered all the questions.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. So I guess we wrap it up. Where can people find more about what you do? And do you have anything coming up?
Well, yes, I have the Truth About Sally, September 8th, virtual Skeptics in the Pub, September 18th. There I go again. Oh my God. I think it must be hour 3.
Yeah.
Triangle Skeptics, 8:00 Eastern time. Go to the meetup. And I will be talking about this topic, and particularly sort of about how the lore developed, and looking at some old newspaper clippings and things like that. So I'm going to try not to be too too much about the article, try and do some new stuff. There'll be some of that stuff in there as well, because you kind of have to, right? In case people haven't read it. But I will be pushing them to go and buy a magazine.
Okay.
And you know what? I've been away for a month. And I'm trying to remember my website. I think it's www.zonegiggler.ca. So that should be pretty
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
So I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And if not, you can always find me on Facebook and private message me.
Okay. All right. And I'm going to pop this up because that just gives you
that is amazing
credit, because you do some good work. Donna does so much in the background. I mean, honestly, I say this once in a while, but if she was not here to control the questions, I would be so far behind. So far. So
she keeps it going on track.
I know. We'd be an hour 5 before I'd get all the questions
Especially
done.
with you and I, it would be rough.
So for me, I'm just going to say that coming up at the end of October is the big one. We have a SciCon coming up. So October 24th to 27th, we will be in Las Vegas, Nevada. Lots of speakers. We have Neil deGrasse Tyson and Dr. Brian Cox, both headlining. So we're going to have a lot. You're going to be there. I think you're going to do a talk. Are you doing a talk?
Last year I did, not this year.
Okay, last year. I wasn't sure.
But Richard Saunders is going to be helping you with your workshop, and he's doing a talk.
Yeah. Like, because they reached out to me to reach out to him and say, hey, would he be willing to do a talk? I'm like, I don't know. I'll ask him. But yeah. So we're going to be doing that. Melanie Teresa King will be there. She's going to be doing a talk. Yeah. Lots of people going to be up on stage. You're going to learn a lot. It's well worth it if you can come out.
And if you do go to SciCon, make sure you stay for the Sunday papers. There's some great speakers at that. It's a really great event.
Yeah, and it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. It gives you a little taste of what might come next year. So yeah, definitely do that. And then after that, November 4th, I think 3rd or 4th. I think the first weekend in November, we will be at what's called the Para Unity Conference in Woodbridge, New Jersey. We're going to be there, set up, and talking to everybody. She's going to be selling stuff.
Yeah,
she's got
selling lots of stuff.
Bunch of stuff. Like creepy dolls, laser engraved slate coasters.
I love that laser engraved stuff.
Ouija boards. Yeah, I mean all kinds of stuff. So come visit her, and if you like what we're doing here, I'll be set up with my actual skeptical help booth, which is really cool. Hopefully the new improved one, because I'm actually going to build a bigger one and more sturdy one, because the other one has seen some time. It has been around the block a few times. So, and I think that's it for now. There's a couple other things in the works, but I can't talk about them until they're solidified or confirmed or actually happen, and I can talk about it afterwards. So join us next week. Next week, we're going to do an open mic night. And, I can tell you, December 13th, which is the next Friday the 13th, we're going to have, oh my goodness. Oh, geez, I'm having a brain fart. Hold on. Margaret Downey on. We're going to have Margaret Downey on because she is the expert in that very long word. That's Friday the 13th. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the history of that and what people do and superstitions and all that stuff. So because I did talk to her this morning, and she's like, yeah, I can come on the next Friday the 13th. We can do that. So I'm excited about that. All right. So you hang on for a couple minutes. I'm going to
hear about your Bigfoot trip, so we can talk about that.
Next week. We will talk about Bigfoot. Go into more detail next week and tell you what I liked and what I didn't like. That one.
Thank you, Kat.
Decaphobia.
Decaphobia.
Decaphobia. I actually have it up here. Where is it? I had it ready to go because I was like, I might have to say it. And I want to make sure I can actually say it. So I had it. One of my like 48,000 tabs that I have open. It's there, but I'm not going to find it now. Anyway, so I'm going to play our outro. Everyone else have a great, like I said, stay around a couple minutes until afterwards. Everyone else have a great weekend. Enjoy it. And remember, never stop learning. See you next week.
Bye, guys.
Hey, diddle diddle, here's a little riddle. Who's the best debunker? Is it Kenny Biddle? Oh, he's good, not just a little. Not at the bottom or even the middle. Strike a chord like a fiddle. Tasting the rainbow like a skittle. That's fragile and brittle. You can watch him take a problem and start to riddle the problem away. He does not play. He takes his job so seriously. He loves a challenge and won't turn you away. It's such a skeptic. He keeps those believers exposing the fake. It wouldn't take him long to find a needle in hay. Use a magnet, damn it. Now take a drink of Kenny's specialty. Some may say that's not for me. To each their own, what really it will be. Man, Kenny's such a skeptic, drinking skeptical tea. Like and subscribe, everybody turn notifications on. And go watch his show and forget about this song. Mr. Wizard or Bill Nye the Science Guy. Can you remember? You like Kenny better, so head to the Skeptical Help Bar and meet the bartender. Pick up a drink and relax, cause nobody does this better. Not even close, not even a little. He's the one and only Kenny Biddle.